Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Welcome for online class, class 9. We are going to learn supplementary reader. The lesson name, The Envious Neighbour. What do you mean by envious neighbour? Neighbour means a person who stays next to your home. And envious means who feels greedy and they will be feeling all tit-tat and all criminal mind person who always feel very greedy seeing the neighbor. So, here they are not a good person, they are evil minded, and in this story I will tell you the story before lesson and then we will go for a small story for you. Two families living neighborhood, they are very old, a couple, a good old couple and the next greedy couple, they are living in the next home. The good old person, they were having a dog and they were just feeding the dog what they are having, a tidbit which they leave and the food and whatever they are eating and they will be just giving to the dog, and they were very kind to the dog, and the dog also was very gratitude to them. And once they were going, the good old couple with the dog, they were just moving, walking. One day the dog was just standing near a pine tree and it was just making the owner to come and dig there or see what is happening. When he was just digging it, he found that treasure was found in it, and the old good couple, they dug in the place where the dog made them to show the place, and they found the treasure, and they taken the treasure and they taken the dog and they were just living. This was heard by the neighboring house, and they found that they were just greedy by seeing they got. They went and borrowed the dog. The good old couple, they felt that very kind and generous. They gave the dog to the next neighboring greedy couple, and they taken the dog, they fed. Previously they were kicking and eating the dog, and by knowing that it had found some treasure, they started giving it food, and they prepared all nice food and they kept before it, and they were begging the dog, you show the place for me to get the treasure. And it was not possible for the dog to get. The dog knows that what for the people is and what is their mindset. The dog understood very clearly, and moreover there is no treasure to find and give to them. And he went and the old couple, greedy old couple, gave nicely to the dog, and they asked, and the dog went and showed a place, and they dug the place there, and they saw a filthy something which is not good for them, something very dirty and filthy they found in that place. According to their mind, they got something, so they killed the dog. The neighbor, good old man, came and asked for the dog, what is the good thing for the dog, and where they left the dog, where the dog is, why it is missing. And the dog was very much feeling, and the owner come to know that the dog was killed, and this greedy person were telling that they killed and buried the dog. They were very much worried to hear, and they asked the body of it, and they took the body and they just went and under a pine tree, they dig the thing and they buried the dog, and they worried, and they kept something for the dog, and what all the dog will like, they prepared the food and they went and kept there. And the dog also was very much felt that he is missing, died, and it missed his owner. And when the old couple were crying and feeling sorry for the dog had been killed, and they were slept, when they were sleeping, the old man got a dream. The dog came and told, just go and make, if you love me very much, you just cut the pine tree and make a pine with the tree a mortar and keep with you. So this old man also believed whatever happened. The next day morning, he got up and he went and cut the tree and made a mortar. You know what is a mortar? You will be using in olden days, Valakke will say, that mortar, it is a mortar, and he made with that, and after making it, what had happened? He was using it. The dog felt very happy. And next day morning when he was using it with some rice, the rice all became very gold. And this was heard by the neighboring greedy couple, old couple. They came and borrowed the mortar from the old good man, and they lent, as they were very generous and good, they gave it. And after giving it, they found the mortar was just making all gold. They took and used it, and again they got some filthy thing and not a good one. So what they have done, they just went and fired and burnt the mortar and make it as an ash. And here the man went, the old man, good old man went and asked, where is his mortar? And they said that they just burnt and ash only is there. And then he had taken all the ash and went home, and the dog came that day night, and he said that go spread this to the died plants. And the old good man just went and thrown the ashes on the tree which is dried, and it all got life, and it was giving nice fruits and flowers, and it was so tasty, very attractive to the eyes, and people were all wondered how it had happened. And when he was going to the prince, and prince was the people were going and saying to the prince of that kingdom, and the prince was very much wondered and want to see that ash and how it is happening. And the old man went with the ash in a basket, and he thrown, and it was become our life. The trees all got life, the plants got life, and it was giving decorative fruits, flowers, and very much that all been enjoyed by the prince, and he was very happy, and he had gifted something in the treasure from the kingdom. And this was again heard by this old couple, greedy couple, and they went and borrowed the ashes from him and went. They went to the prince, and this old man was throwing the flower to make the died plant to get a life and give flowers and fruits. And instead of that getting a life, the plant getting a life, the ashes were just thrown, gone into the eyes of the prince and the other people in that place. The prince got angry, and he just bet him, given punishment to beat, and nicely got from the kingdom, and he was not able to walk, he was crawling and coming. And this was heard by the old good man, and he was just running to the place, and he made him come, and he was taking that person, and he shared the treasure and other things what all he got. And this shows a good person will be ever good, and a evil minded person will be ever, and they will be doing till their life. And this mended the way of when he was helping, the good old man was helping, this mended the life of the greedy person, and they changed how if they were good, they also will be getting good. They learned the lesson, and they also changed their way and mended their way, and they corrected, and they lead a nice life. That was the story. We will see. So, first paragraph, in the old days there lived an honest man with his wife, who had a pet dog which they used to feed with fish and tidbit from their own kitchen. One day as the whole flock went out to work in their garden, the dog went with them and began playing about. All of a sudden the dog stopped short and began to bark, bow, wow, wow, wagging his tail violently. So here the old man is going to the garden and working there. The dog also went along with them, and he was shouting like a bow wow. You know, dogs will make a sound bow wow, and he makes the bow wow sound and wagging his tail and calling the owner. The people thought there must be something nice to eat under the ground, so they brought a spade and began digging. When lo and behold, the place was full of gold pieces and silver and all sorts of precious things which had been buried there. So they gathered the treasure, and after giving alms to the poor, bought themselves rice fields and corn fields and became wealthy people. So here the old man went inside and got a spade, and he dug under the tree, and he found not something eating thing. He found that there was a treasure. What are the things he found? Precious things like gold pieces and silver pieces. You know, gold is very costly, and when you sell it, or you can get money, or you can keep it as a treasure. So old man became very rich in one day with the help of the dog. Now in the neighboring house there dwelt a covetous and stingy old couple. You know, covetous means very greedy, always feeling jealous on next person. Covetous means. So this old man was very covetous who lives in the neighboring house. Neighboring means next house. He heard what had happened and he felt very covetous. So when they heard what had happened, came and borrowed the dog, and having taken him home, prepared a great feast for him and said, "If you please, Mr. Dog, we should be much obliged to you if you would show us a place with plenty of money in it." So what happened? The old man came and borrowed the dog from the good old man. And he also a very generous person. He lent the dog for one day. And he had put all the food, what all the dog, he prepared a nice food. Previously he will be beating the dog, but now he made a nice food for the dog, and he was offering and he was asking the thing, "You have to show me the way for me to get the treasure. You show the place." He was asking, begging the dog. Whether the dog had shown, do you think that the dog had shown the place? No. The dog knows who is good and who is not good. And moreover, there is no place like that for the dog to show. The dog, however, who up to that time had received nothing but cuffs and kicks from his host, would not eat any of the dainties which they had set before him. So the old people began to get cross. What do you mean by dainties? They made variety of food for the dog because they are going to get something from the dog. So they offered the thing, and the dog had not accepted anything from it, and they got angry. Cross means to get cross means to get angry. Putting a rope around the dog's neck, led them out into the garden. Was all in vain. He let them lead him where they might. Not a sound would be the dog utter. He had no bow for them. At last, however, the dog stopped at a certain stop and began to sniff. So thinking that this must surely be lucky place, they dug and found nothing but a quantity of dirt and nasty offal, over which they had to told their noses. Furious at being disappointed, the wicked old couple seized the dog and killed him. So what had happened? They have taken the dog, just tying the rope, and they were taking and making it run and find the place. The dog also was going. It had not found anything. At one place the dog stopped and sniffing, and when it is sniffed, they thought that it was the place where the treasure is hiding. They dug and they found something filthy, and they got angry and they killed the dog, and the dog had died now. When the good old man saw that the dog whom he had lent did not come home, he went next door to ask what had become of him. And the wicked old man answered that he had killed the dog and buried him at the root of the pine tree. So the good old fellow, with a heavy heart, went to the spot, and having set out a tray with delicate food, he burnt incense and adorned the grave with flowers as he shed tears over his last pet. You know that the old man went there and he was asking, "Where is my dog?" It had not returned. So they said that it had not shown the place, so we killed it. And the old man became very worried for his dog, and he was crying, and he went and saw where they buried. So there was a pine tree, under it they buried. He just cooked some food and offered, and he had just made a flour and just made it everything on the thing, and he was sitting and crying and very worried very much for that. That night the good old man was fast asleep in bed. The dog appeared to him, and after thanking him for all his kindness, said, "Cause the pine tree under which I am buried to be cut down and made into a mortar, and use it, thinking of it as if it were myself." So he was telling, the dog was telling, "I am buried under the pine tree." In a dream, coming and telling to the old man, "You go and get the tree, cut the tree and make it as a mortar, and you loved me. So I am very thankful for that, and you can make a motor and keep with you as a motor. So he cut the tree. The old man did as the dog had told him to do and made a motor out of the wood of the pine tree. But when he ground his rice in it, each grain of rice turned into some rich treasure. So the matter with the motor, he just went next day, he cut the tree and made a motor and used the motor to clean the cover of the grains. The grains all become gold and the things all become silver. And he was very happy to see that. And again this was heard by the old man. When the wicked old couple saw this, they came to borrow the motor, but no sooner did they try to use it, all their rice turned into filth. So in a bit of rage, they broke the motor and burnt it, but the good old man, little suspecting that his precious motor had been broken and burnt, wondered why his neighbors did not bring it back to him. So again what they did, they went and do how the old man done, but it was no use. Only a filth thing came, and as soon as they put the motor in the thing, they got all the filthy things, not treasure. So they got angry and immediately they broken the motor and they burnt it. After burning it, again the old man went and asked where it is. One night the dog appeared to him again in the dream and told him what had happened, adding that if he would take the ashes of the burnt motor and sprinkle them on the withered trees, the trees would revive and suddenly put out to the flower. After saying this, the dream vanished, and the old man, who heard for the first time of the loss of his motor, ran out weeping to the neighbor house and begged them at any rate to give him back the ashes of his treasure. So here again the dog came in the dream and said the old man had burnt that and made it as ash. So they came and get the ash. So here go and get the ash, the dog said. Again to throw it on some trees, dried trees, it will be getting alive. Again this man, old man went and asked, begged them where they have burnt, and they showed the place. They got the ashes, and after getting the ashes, he went and thrown everywhere. Having obtained it, he returned home and made a trial of their virtues upon a withered cherry tree, which upon being touched by the ashes immediately began to sprout and blossom. When he saw this wonderful effect, he put the ashes into a basket and went about the country, announcing himself as an old man who had the power of bringing dead trees to the life again. So he had thrown and the trees all got life. This message had been all over, it had been spread, and this had reached the prince. A certain prince, hearing of this and thinking it might strange things sent for the old fellow, who showed his power by causing all the withered plum and cherry trees to shoot out and put forth flowers. So the prince gave him a rich reward of piece of silk and cloth and other presents and sent him home rejoicing. As soon as the neighbors heard of this, they collected all the ashes that remained, and having put them in the basket, the wicked old man went out into the castle down and gave out that he was the old man who had the power of reviving dead trees and causing them to flower. He had not to wait long before he was called into the prince's palace and ordered to exhibit his power. So again this old man went and borrowed the ashes from the good old man, and he went to the place, and after going to the prince to show, let me see what is happening. But when they climbed up into the withered tree and began to scatter the ashes, not a bud of flower appeared, but the ashes all fell into the prince's eyes and mouth, blinding and choking him. When the prince's retainers saw this, they seized the old man and beat him almost to death, so that he crawled off home in a very sorry plight. When he and his wife found out what a trap they had fallen into, they scolded themselves. So here the old man again went with the ashes and he threw. It had just fallen in the prince's eyes and mouths. The soldiers and others who were there. They caught the old man and they bet nicely, and he crawled and came to the home feeling ashamed, and he was speaking to his wife what had happened, and they were just talking, feeling sorry for what had happened, and they were saying that we have a bad luck like that. They were talking, and this made the person feel. The good old man and woman, as soon as they heard of their neighbor's distress, sent for them, and after reproving them for their greed and cruelty, gave them a share of their own riches, which by repeated strokes of luck had now increased to a goodly sum. So here what had happened? The good old man heard the same, but when he heard, he felt sorry for the wicked person, and he went with his share. He got some treasure. Out of that, he gave some treasure, some share of it to the neighbor person who were feeling. And so the wicked only old people mended their ways. After getting the treasure, they realized their mistake, what they were doing. And after understanding their mistake, they corrected themselves with the share, and they led a happy life afterwards. So this shows that one must not, what is the moral of this? One must not be so wicked and greedy, jealous like that. Must be always humble, honorable, good and courageous. All this quality must be there. Always be good and do good, so that you also will be getting all the good. Thank you children. We will continue in the next class.